Today on Jason, Brooke Moriber.
So to be an actress, I'd like to ask this question to performers because everybody has their thing. Like, what is your thing to prepare for your roles? Like, how do you train yourself to go into role to role?
For acting, I kind of have a system for myself.
It's all happening right now.
Hi everyone, I'm Jason Galka, and as always, thank you for coming on my journey with me. Today I have an incredible actress and singer-songwriter with an incredible talent, Brooke Moriber, who's right here in New York City. So great to have you along with me today.
Thank
you look
you for having
lovely.
me. Thank you. We sort of met.
I love blue.
Me too.
Blue
It's
is
my
like
favorite.
my favorite color. Yes,
Yeah.
so we already have a lot in common already.
Yeah, we've already discussed that.
It's great to see you. I mean, you've had an incredible career over the past several years, more than that, since the age of 8, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about your first audition. You actually landed the role of young Cassette in Les Miserables.
Yeah, that was my first audition ever, and I actually begged my parents to let me do it because my mom used to be an actress, and she didn't want me to go through all of the heartbreak and all that stuff that happens to all of us actors. And so I begged them, and I sang over the phone for a manager, and she said, "How would you like to audition for Les Miserables?" And my parents used to bring the soundtracks home from shows they had seen, and I remembered listening to the little girl on it and saying, "I want to do that, I want to be on that." And I always thought it was the coolest thing to just be on a recording, let alone just be on a Broadway stage. And I booked it. It was my first gig, so
That
it
is
wasn't
so
too shabby.
amazing. No.
I was pretty happy about that. It should always be that easy.
It should be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but that's incredible, though. I mean, that's a hit show on Broadway. It was back then. It stopped for a while. It's back now. I actually remember seeing it back in '97 for the first time when I was like 12.
Yeah.
So maybe I saw you. I don't know.
I'm trying to remember the year I did it. God, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's one of those shows that's it's so good it won't die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely
so good.
amazing. But you went on from there. You've done some soap opera work. You've done some TV and film work. Tell me about that.
I did a soap opera called As the World Turns, which no longer exists. I actually did it with James Redgrave, who passed away this year, and he was an amazing man and just such a sweet soul, and it was a very difficult role because it was about sexual child abuse, and he was my father who was abusing me, and after every take he would always check in with me and make sure, are you doing okay, is everything okay? He could care less about his performance.
Right.
He just cared about my well-being, so it was
Yeah, because that's got to be tough, though, even to play that part.
for him more so than for me. I just had to cry a lot. But he just he would shake while he would do it because it was so hard for him to tap into it, and actually it worked for his character because he was
he was already kind of like shook up.
Yeah. So that was an amazing experience for me working with him, and I'll never forget how generous he was. Yeah.
So to be an actress, I mean, I'd like to ask this question to performers because everybody has their thing. Like, what is your thing to prepare for your roles? Like, how do you train yourself to go into role to role?
For acting, I kind of have a system for myself, which is I try to first tap into how I relate to the character as far as what my similarities are, and then the stuff that I can't relate to, I kind of just do the typical actor thing. What is my need in this moment? What is my objective? What's the obstacle to my objective? And all that type of stuff that you learn in training. But I try first to draw upon my own experiences to make it as real as possible for myself.
Wow. I mean, you were destined to be a star from how this big?
Hopefully I become more of a star at some point.
You are a star, honey. You've done
You're
7
very
Broadway
sweet.
shows.
Thank you. Yes.
That's amazing in itself.
Thank you.
I mean, you can sing. There's no doubt about that. We have clips we'll show you in a little bit.
Thank
but,
you.
I mean, what are some of the other shows that you've done also on Broadway?
I've done Follies, which was a lot of fun. I got to play a young operetta singer. And I got to work with all those MGM stars. A lot of them were like Marge Champion and Holly Bergen, who feel like I'm talking about the dead list. This thing that she passed away this year as well. And we just went to her memorial. Yeah, it's really sad. And Threepenny Opera was really cool. I got to work with Cyndi Lauper, who's like my idol, and Alan Cumming, and just being on stage with the two of them, I was just kind of like, I love what I do.
That's
this
amazing.
Is pretty cool. Yeah, yeah.
Do you ever get starstruck working with people like
the
that?
The only person I ever got starstruck with was Cyndi.
Yeah.
And when I first met her, I've never been the type of person who really, I usually just think you're a person just like me.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't talk. I was like, what? Nothing's coming out. And she's like the most humble person I've ever met.
Yeah,
so
she's really sweet.
She's really sweet, yeah.
In fact, she sponsored one of the events that we did a couple of years ago, Night of a Thousand Gowns, which benefits the LGBT community.
Yeah.
And actually, her foundation was benefiting from it all. So she wasn't able to come, but she had really great things to say. And she sent some words over, which was great. But she's an amazing person.
She's an amazing woman and just so generous to everyone around her and humble about what she does. And it was pretty cool working with her.
That's so amazing. I mean, you love the stage, you love singing. Acting you love, but your heart is in singing now. You're really into your music. You're also a singer and songwriter.
Yes.
That's amazing. And you started that at 15. You were really young.
I did. Well, you've done your research. I did start at 15. Well, I actually started younger than 15, but until I actually wrote anything, I think legitimate was when I was 15. My parents were going through a really bad divorce when I was around, well, it took from the age of 12 to like 16 until they actually got divorced from being separated. And it was just a really rough time for me, custody battle and all that stuff. And that became my outlet. And writing ever since then has continued to be my outlet for whether, any extreme emotion that I'm feeling. Even if I'm extremely happy, I can write a song about it. But it's usually, I think writers usually write from a place of...
Right, like something that everybody can relate to.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
a lot of people can actually relate to something like that. I mean, my parents, too, were divorced. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. But when they were going through it, I wasn't even born yet. So it's like I didn't really have that... you can't miss something you never had.
Right,
So I didn't know what it was like to grow up without a father, really, or to have one. But, I mean, you are well known to write lyrics that are very catchy that people can really relate to.
Thank you.
That's why people love your music.
Well, thank you so much.
And your latest single is Dangerous Love.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Dangerous Love is actually a song that came to me in my sleep. I have an EP coming out soon called Fire, and one of the songs is also Fire. But it has 4 songs on it, and the first song that I put on the EP was Dangerous Love. I came up with the tune for the chorus and the lyrics for the chorus in my sleep, and I woke up and I forced myself awake and I put it on my little MP3 recorder that I have by my bedside just in case that happens. And I usually just say, "Oh no, I'm too tired, I can't do it," and I go back to sleep. But
artist work is never done.
Never done, and it's really annoying when something comes to you in your sleep because then if you don't wake up the next morning, you're like, oh no, it was good. I think there was something good in my dream. And then sometimes you put it down and you're like, oh, that was really bad. Why did I think that was good?
Yeah.
But so I put the song on my iPhone, just me on the keys and singing to it, and I gave it to my producers and they said, oh, I think this should be the first one we record. We really like this. I was like, okay.
That's amazing. I mean, you just have such a knack for it. As they say, producers have found that you have like this knack for it and people can really relate to what you're doing. It's amazing. You must feel so accomplished.
I feel very lucky that I have that outlet. And, no matter how bad things can get, I have a way to express myself, which a lot of, people who don't do what artists do, I think they don't have a reason for it. Well, this terrible thing happened to me. Let me turn it into a positive thing for myself. Right. It's harder to find that unless you're doing something artistic. So
Did you always know you wanted to be a singer?
Yes. I can't remember a time when I didn't. I was a very loud child, I've been told, and sang a lot. But I don't know. I've always felt like singing is the way that I express myself.
Right.
So that, even as a kid, just running around singing Cyndi Lauper, and
That was your inspiration to
that
get
was
started?
one of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
What was it about her that just drew you to her?
She wrote "Girls Just Want to Have Fun." I was a little girl, and I mean, what are you gonna do?
Gay men still love that song.
Exactly. That's the song that never gets old.
That's great. Well, we
Yeah.
actually have some clips of your music. We're going to take a look at that right now. Check it out.
Isolation, sadness, liberation. I'm burning, put me again. I fell so hard, but now I can win. You know you light me up when you set me on fire. I feel inspired, I'm
Your music is absolutely amazing, I have to tell you again. And it's actually been featured in several theater projects, films, and network TV.
Yeah.
That is so great.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. When I was starting out writing as a teenager, I had a couple of songs put on Nickelodeon, which was kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, so that was fun.
Hey, Nick Cannon started on Nickelodeon.
Well, there you go. I'll
So,
take it.
Exactly.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Stepping stones, my dear.
Exactly.
And you just wrapped on a new film about the Lower East Side, right? Tell us about that.
It's called Off Track Betty, and it's basically about the gentrification of New York in general. We're starting to lose our neighborhoods, and it's a story about this older lady who doesn't want to leave her apartment in the Lower East Side that they're trying to buy her out of, and they want to rip it down and put some big condo up. And I'm kind of the comic relief in the film. I just play this girl who's way too young to be a lawyer, who's like, oh my God, and like talks like that, type of thing. So, which is what we see a lot of lately.
And you kind of grew up in that area too, in Greenwich
I did.
Village.
I grew up in Greenwich Village. Yes, exactly.
Oh, what a great place to grow up.
Oh, it's amazing. That's why when I read the script for that film, it felt so close to my heart, because
Yeah.
that's how I feel when I go down there sometimes and I see the Lower East Side and it doesn't look like it used to. But hopefully Greenwich Village will stay the way it is, because
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Do you remember singing for everybody in Central Park also?
I remember growing up at Washington Square Park and then singing in Central Park. It's pretty cool. I did a tribute for Marvin Hamlish. I think it was last summer, actually, in Central Park. And we did Chorus Line. So it was a really, really cool thing. It was a lot of fun. We got to work with the original company of A Chorus Line, who came on stage at the end of the show. So that was a pretty amazing moment. It kind of gave me chills.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Well, in addition to my own questions that I ask you, I always post on social media who's going to be my guest and if you have any questions for them. So on Twitter, at Green Eye Devil Lady wanted to know, how do you prepare your voice before going into a concert?
I usually warm up first thing when I get up in the morning, because I like to get it out of the way. And then I'm done. I'm warm for the rest of the day. Unless I take a nap and go to sleep, then your voice gets cold again. So that's usually what I do vocally, is I warm up in the morning. And I usually warm up with my steamer if I,
Wow, so there's like
can
this
do-
whole big thing that
multitask.
goes with it.
Yeah, it's like my morning ritual is if I have a concert. If not, I'll just like warm up on
Some
getting
people
dressed or
drink
something.
coffee, some people use a vaporizer.
Exactly. Some people use certain types of vaporizers.
I heard some people actually go as far as like gurgling with olive oil. Does that really work? Have you ever tried it?
I had a voice coach who once told me to drink olive oil before you sing, and I tried it. It kind of burned. I don't know. It
Yeah.
just wasn't really my thing.
I like olive oil when you like cooking chicken in it or something.
Yeah,
but I don't know
yeah.
about drinking it straight.
Drinking it is kind of gross.
I
Yeah,
would
I like
think.
licorice tea. It's kind of like throat coat, but without all the other ingredients in it, because licorice
Yeah.
is an anti-inflammatory. So I do actually, it doesn't taste very good, but it does soothe my throat sometimes if I'm feeling under the weather.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you also have a show that's coming up on August 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that. Where are you performing?
So I've been asked to perform at Pianos as part of this it's a special gig with Coors Beer and Turnstile Music. It's a launching event for them, so there's going to be discount beer for everybody.
The men are there.
Yes, exactly. All the men are there. And they basically just picked, I think it's 4 or 5 bands to perform that night. So I felt really honored that they asked me to do that. So
That's great.
So that was really cool.
You perform everywhere. You've been out to Long Island several times, over by where we are, where we're from.
Yes, I went out to Amityville and I did a gig for Verizon Fios a couple of weeks ago. I saw it on YouTube, but I'm not sure if it's actually aired on Verizon Fios yet. So I don't know.
Yeah.
See if I can find that out for you guys.
And recently you were also performed at the 4th annual Broadway Under the Stars benefit.
Yes, we did. I'm not sure if it's was the Broadway Under the Stars. It was one of them in New Jersey, and one of the composers that I've done a couple workshops for was doing some music from his show as well, and I got to sing some music from that, and it's called.
That's so great.
Yeah, his name is Jonathan Brielle, and the music he writes is absolutely beautiful. I'm very picky when it comes to theater music, and he's going to be the next thing, I think, because he's super talented.
But for the most part, you write your own music. It comes from your own heart.
I write my own pop rock music, so that's what I've been focusing on these days.
So how do you match, this is my question, what I've always wanted to know, from performers like yourself, how do you match the melody and the music to the lyrics? Is that difficult to come up with?
I mean, each song that I write comes to me in a different way. Sometimes the melody comes to me first and then the lyrics, or sometimes the idea of what I want to write about comes first and I try to put them together, or the lyrics come first. It can be very difficult for me if I have just the lyrics first. I like to have the tune before I put the lyrics to it. I'm actually working on a song right now that I have this great idea for the concept, and I have written down all the lyrics, and I've got the verses, I've got the tune for the verse, but I need that kick-ass chorus, and it's not happening, and I've been sitting by my keyboard, I'm like, oh my God, this is painful, I can't think of it, but I know this is a good idea. Maybe it'll come to me in my sleep.
Wow, and you can play keyboard too, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I grew up actually taking keyboard lessons, then piano lessons, and it's actually a lot harder than it looks.
I'm the opposite. I started with piano, and now I just do keyboard.
Yeah, and it's a lot less room in your place too.
That's exactly one of the reasons, yeah.
Well, Brooke, I think you have an amazing talent.
Thank you so much.
You are a star, my
you
darling.
are a star as well, and
Thank
you so much.
My pleasure. For more
been an
information
honor.
about Brooke, you can visit her on the web, BrookeMoriber.com, and be sure to follow her on Twitter. And when it comes to yours truly, you could certainly catch up on what you missed or rewatch your favorites at www.jasongalka.com. As always, thank you for joining me. See you next time.